Okay, we're live.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to give everyone just another minute or so here, and then we'll get started. All right, well, welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is the webinar for our new compliance portal, BEAM, that's going to be in use for the Oregon Building Performance Standard. We'll do some introductions here in a second. Just point of order, if you've got questions as we go, please drop those into the chat, and we will start addressing those at the end when we get to Q&A. By way of introductions, I am Ken Davies, Program Analyst with the Codes and Standards team, and I will hand it over to Judy.
Hi, I'm Judy Stockwell, and I am the Public Service Representative for the Codes and Standards team. And I'll hand it over to Josh.
I am Josh Price. I am the Program Analyst for the Berry program, and I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Johnson, Program Analyst here at Odo, and I primarily manage the ECAP incentive program. And I will hand it over to Lisa.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Gartland, and I'm with Odo here in Codes and Standards, a facilities engineer doing technical work for BPS. And back to Ken to introduce the Clearly Energy team.
Yes, let's start off with Claire.
Great. Thanks, Ken, and good morning, everyone. My name is Claire Rabbit, and I'm an energy and climate analyst here with Clearly Energy. And we're working with Odo to support the rollout of the Building Performance Standard using our BEAM platform, which is the Building Energy Analysis Manager. I'm also joined by my colleague, Naomi Watson. I'll be doing most of the presenting today, but you might see her in the chat dropping some links. And I'll pass back to you, Ken. Oh, yes, and Pranali as well.
Okay, next slide. Just a reminder here of our mission statement at the Oregon Department of Energy. And what we do there on the bottom half, we see the Building Performance Standard embedded in all of those items. Next slide. Just a brief history. In 2023, the legislature passed House Bill 3409, establishing the Building Performance Standard for all commercial buildings. We subsequently published an Oregon-specific version of the ASHRAE 100 standard that serves as our program guidelines. We're just about 2 years out now from the earliest compliance deadlines, which start in June 1st of 2028. But there is lots of work to do in the meantime, which many of you are probably discovering right now. What we've got here with BEAM is a centralized reporting platform that's needed for building owners to submit compliance information and for Odo to track and administer the Oregon BPS. Next, please. So as Clara mentioned, BEAM stands for Building Energy Analysis Manager. We contracted with Clearly Energy to develop this compliance platform. It's in widespread use by BPS programs over 35 diverse jurisdictions, including New York City and the state of Colorado. What you get in there is a compliance portal. It summarizes energy performance and tracks your progress. It's a way to submit all your compliance-related forms, and it integrates with Energy Star Portfolio Manager, Audit Template, and uploads of other supporting documents. We have a buildings map function in there that can help you verify your building's location and find and add new buildings. A knowledge base has all of our Oregon BPS compliance, guidance documents, tools, and webinars like this. And we do have a customer support function standing by. We're, in addition to Odo staff, backed up by building potential support staff. And with that, let's get into it. I'll pass it over to Claire.
Great, thank you, Ken. So starting off here with some more information on the Beam Building Portal. So this is a web-based application platform, and it enables building owners and other reporters to view the steps to compliance, detailed information on your building and its energy consumption, any correspondence that you've had with the state related to the BPS, and more. So to access the portal, you will first need to register for an account using an email that we have on file, which was provided and verified by the building owner in association with your building. So for building owner, manager, and third-party Beam portal access, this is granted by the building owner through the Claim My Building form. And for energy professionals, Beam portal access is provided through the Designate My Energy Professional form. You'll also see that Naomi went ahead and dropped some links within the chat for the sign up and login links for the Beam portal page. And I'm also going to be running through a demo of all of the content we're covering here today shortly. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. So next we have the ORBPS compliance forms and other more general forms, which are hosted on Beam's knowledge base, which Naomi is going to drop a link to within the chat. And these forms apply to specific actions. So for example, you would use the Claim My Building form to provide contact information that's associated with your building, or you would use Form X if you needed to request an exemption. Compliance applications and other actions will also be submitted through forms, and all of the compliance forms are going to be made available through the knowledge base on July 1st. And within this slide, you can see the list of forms that are currently live and the ones that will be published on July 1st. I'll also just quickly note that each of the forms includes a detailed description at the top on when and why it's used and who should be submitting it. So we highly suggest carefully reviewing this description and any of the associated instructions before you fill out and submit the forms. Next slide, please. So now we'll discuss the ORBPS buildings map, which is an in-progress list containing our current records of buildings which may be subject to ORBPS program requirements. And the data on this map will continue to update as folks work on verifying or correcting the information that we have on file. Once you've created your Beam portal account, you can navigate to this map to search for your buildings by address and to view the building's physical location, the associated unique building identifier, which is also known as the UBID, and it's the ID that you'll use for the program, and other information relating to the building. You'll use the information correction form to verify or correct any of the information associated with your building that's on the map. So for example, things like gross floor area, property type, or site address. As those need to be updated, or if all looks good to go, you can go ahead and verify those via that form. And if your building is not on the list, but it meets the definition of a Tier 1 or a Tier 2 building under the Oregon Building Performance Standard, you will need to please submit an Add a Covered Building form to have it added to the map. We ask that you please provide this verification and correction information to help us refine the map and the associated building data. And thank you, Naomi, who I see is dropping some of these links to the forms that were mentioned within the chat. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. So the program knowledge base serves as a comprehensive resource library for all information related to the Oregon Building Performance Standard program. So this is where you can go to find information on the BPS, announcements and events, detailed guidance, and step-by-step guidance to help you comply, and other resources, including all of the guidance docs that Ken mentioned earlier. This is also where you'll go to access all of the forms which were previously covered. Next slide, please. Great. So now I'm going to go ahead and dive into a demo. I'm going to cover creating an account, the building portal, submitting forms, the map, the knowledge base, and how to get help. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. And can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Ken. Perfect. So starting off here, this is the Beam platform login landing page, and this is the same link that Naomi sent earlier in the chat, where the Beam building portal login page was sent. But to sign up for an account, I would route to this page, and then I can click on this Create My Account button. Then I would go ahead and fill out all of this information that's requested here. Just for the example today, I'm not going to be creating a real account, but I'll do. Perfect. So then once you fill in your email address, first and last name, and the password in accordance with these password guidelines, I could go ahead and click on I'm not a robot for that verification, and then I would click this large Create My Account button. I'm not going to click this button just since this is, an example for today, but once I did click on that, that would prompt me to the second step of the setup process, which would happen after I received an email to my account with the subject line New Beam Account. And that email will contain a verification link that you just need to click on to verify your email, which will finalize the setup process. I'll also note that the email that you receive that has the subject line of New Beam Account needs to have the verification link clicked within 24 hours of completing this initial sign up step. But if you miss that link and don't sign up within the first 24 hours, you can receive a new one through clicking on Forgot Password here, and then just providing your email address, clicking Reset My Password, and then clicking the new verification link that comes to your email address. So now I'm going to go ahead and log in here to demo the portal itself. So here within the Beam building portal, you can see that I'm routing to this home page after logging in, where I'm able to see a status donut for the buildings under my ownership. Since this is just an example account, there's just one building in there, and it doesn't have any status as there hasn't been any progress made towards program requirements. But you would be able to see this donut, and then if you had multiple buildings under your ownership or management or otherwise reporting requirements, you could see all of them within the donut, and you could pull up the status for each of those, so whether or not you were in compliance or had outstanding steps for separate buildings within that inventory. Then you'll also see as I'm scrolling down here, there's a checklist of all of the actions I need to take for the property and what is still outstanding. So if for this building I had gone ahead and claimed that building to provide the updated points of contact information, this would be checked off here, and I would know that that was a completed step that I no longer needed to progress towards. If I have multiple buildings, I can also hover over this exclamation point icon and see any buildings remaining that need to take this step. And then once it's completed for any of the buildings in the list, they would no longer appear on there. And of course, once completed for all the buildings, the checklist item itself would be crossed off. I can also scroll down to enter in the address of any of the buildings. So because I just have the one, I'm going to type in 10 Main Street. And if I clicked this hyperlink page, I would be able to pull up a more detailed information on that specific property. Just taking a moment to load here, apologies. There we go. But then toggling back to this page, I can also filter in various ways if I do have multiple buildings under my ownership. So I could do things like sorting by gross floor area from the least to the greatest, or vice versa. I can also exclude or include any labels that will later get applied to my property based on various compliance actions, which I'd be able to see under labels here. And I can scroll to any of the columns in this list more easily. So maybe I want to scroll to meets EUIT. And then it would just take me there more quickly. I can also access any of the communications that I've had with the state related to the BPS through clicking into this little note tab icon here. And I'd be able to see any of the tickets that I'd opened either through forms or sending an email directly that were paired to my property record. I can also access the property detail page that we pulled up when searching by the address through clicking into this little eye icon here, and that will route me to the exact same page that we are here on the other screen. So within this property detail page as well, there likely will not be too much in here in relation to your property at the moment other than the checklist. But as you continue to progress towards program requirements, you'll find different graphs and charts to help you better visualize your building's energy usage. And then you'll be able to access some of the tools and actions needed to take for program requirements and any associated other pertinent information. You can also scroll down and view the building data, much like it's displayed in the broader page, just specific for this property record and any updates that have been made. So now I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to the help desk to show you how to go about submitting forms. I'll also just quickly mention that I can submit forms while logged out, but I cannot access the building map while I am logged out. But I routed here to the knowledge base. And again, this is the comprehensive library of resources designed to help you comply with the program requirements. And to access the forms, I would click on New Ticket on the left-hand side of my screen. And then I could select any of the forms listed here. So I'll go ahead and show you how I would go about filling out a Claim My Building form by selecting that specific form. And then I'm going to provide the contact information associated with my buildings. So I will need for the Claim My Building form the unique building identifier, and I can show you how to pull that up from the program map as well. But since I have it here within my building owner portal account, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that to make sure it's accurate. If I wanted to, I could also add additional UBIDs for any other properties that I have under my ownership that have the same associated contact information. I'd then continue to scroll down and I would fill out all of this contact information. And then, since this is just a demo here, I'm not going to add contact information for a building owner or other third-party contact. But if I wanted to, I would just select yes here, and then all of those fields would pull up on the form. But I'll go ahead and select no. And then please do note that for any of these forms, you will need to carefully review any of the terms that are listed to ensure that you are providing your certification to those. So for this one, I am certifying that I am the official owner on record for this test building. So I will go ahead and certify that. And that all of the parties I have listed are authorized to submit information and view the data for the building above. I'm also verifying that things are complete and accurate to the best of my knowledge and consenting to receive notifications from the Odo team regarding the BPS. Now I'll go ahead and submit ticket at the very bottom to finish the process. I would then receive an email to the email address that I had listed, just letting me know that I had opened this ticket up and with any follow-up that's needed. So once that information is incorporated, I would also receive an email back, and I can always reply to that email that comes to my inbox if I have any follow-up questions. So now that we've gone through an example of submitting forms, I'm going to quickly walk through some of the information available on the knowledge base before we toggle to the Oregon BPS buildings map. So the first thing you'll see here are the announcements and upcoming events. You can see the trainings that are listed, including this one, the building owner beam orientation. And I can click into any of these hyperlinks, or I can view the articles within this category through clicking this big blue button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And here I see on this right-hand side that there are additional announcements for me to toggle through. So we'll start by clicking into this transition from the pill to beam notification, just that the portal is switching and transitioning over to beam. I can toggle through each of the announcements and all of the associated articles through clicking next item, or I could come back out to this broader announcements and upcoming events page, and I could click into any of these individually. I'll come back out to the knowledge base here. And then one piece that I will highlight for you all is just that there is step-by-step program compliance guidance available for your reference, which we highly suggest clicking through each of these articles one by one and reading the guidance carefully so that you have an accurate sense of how to comply with program requirements. And again, I can do that through clicking next item or going back and clicking through each one individually. There's other key information here on the policy, guidance documents, and key terms and definitions that you'll definitely want to review as well. But since we went through a quick demo of the knowledge base, I'll go ahead and toggle back to the buildings map. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, there is the beam map. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Or I can use the hyperlink that's linked in any of the articles on the knowledge base. I think the point that I just want to reemphasize is that I do have to be logged in to access the map. But now that I'm on the map, I can go ahead and search for my building through this address field. So I'll start to type in 10 Main Street, and then I see my building pops up here with the test UBID. And since that's not a real building, I'll go ahead and toggle to one that is a real building. So as you can see here, we can pull up information on any of the buildings, their associated UBID, addresses, the city and postal code, and gross floor area of any of the buildings that are under your ownership or reporting requirements. And this way you can reference their location on the map and the information associated with them, both to pull the UBID and to provide us with the verification information or corrections to help us refine the list. I'll also note that it can be useful if you have multiple buildings at the same address or close by to differentiate those between each other by looking at the map in this way. And I can also zoom in and out on different records and click them manually as I need to. So that brings me to the end of my demo, but the last thing I want to highlight really quickly before I pass it back to Ken is just how you can go about getting help. So as Ken mentioned, there is a help desk within this portal where you can ask any questions that you may have and receive assistance as you walk through this process. So as you would like to receive help, you can contact the team in various ways. I think Naomi is going to drop some information in the chat as well about how you can go about doing this. But there is an email you can reach out to, a phone number, as well as a general inquiry form, which is back on that same page in the knowledge base under new ticket on the left-hand side, where you can ask more broad program level questions or any question that you may have on how to comply with the program. So I will go ahead and pass back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Claire. Just a reminder here that the webinar today, as well as all the other ones we've done to date, live on this page. You can quickly scan that QR code, that'll take you there. So if you're unable to make any kind of our webinars in the future, they're recorded and stored here for you to view on demand. Next slide. Okay, so with that, we'll get into the Q&A. And I think Roxanne had the first question, which is that if we are a manufacturer, we are exempt from doing any of this. That's a yes and no. Manufacturing buildings can be exempt, but they need to apply for that exemption. And so first thing you should do there is go ahead and claim your building as was demonstrated. And then when you go back into that new ticket function, you will see after the claim my building a Form X exemption application form. I'm going to complete that and upload some supporting documentation in order to get that exemption. What we found with those building types so far, that has been a really straightforward demonstration of what the building is for the Odo team is a certificate of occupancy that shows a factory F or high hazard H designation. But there's some other examples that you can see in our guidance documents for that. Odo, anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I'd also like to add, if you're trying to apply for a manufacturing exemption or industrial exemption, you should be able to demonstrate that that manufacturing or industrial area is more than 50% of your building's area. And so sometimes your certificate of occupancy will show the B classifications as well as F or H. And so you should just show us a floor plan or a building diagram that shows how much is of each type, so we can verify that, just to get into the weeds here. So
I think next up was Debbie's question. I think we responded to that, but that's just using the Claim My Building form. After you submit that, it should show up in your inventory. The next one from Hillary. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to take the next one from Hillary.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So Hillary, thank you for flagging that this column was populated incorrectly. We're going to go ahead and hide those for the time being, just since we haven't received any of the information on EUI or energy use intensity targets for any of the buildings as of yet. And more information within the portal will be made live on July 1st as well. But thank you for flagging, and we'll make sure that that is adjusted accordingly.
and just for the recording, to reiterate what that question was, is that there's a little bit of, a lot of people are getting a display saying my building meets target because there's no information entered yet on either EUI target or EUI. And so 0 equals 0. And it looks like you're meeting target already. So that's just a little glitch that we're still working out, silly things like that. So not to worry, you're not there yet as much as you might want to be.
The next one from Kevin. Do you want to take that one, Lisa?
And can someone read it out to me? Because
Sure.
there's a lot of questions in here right now.
Yeah, he asks, am I correct in assuming that the QP or QEM should be listed in the contact section?
Oh, okay. So there's various forms that we've got, and the way we're gonna make you fill out lots of little forms instead of one big one. So there's the Claim My Building form, right? And that is really just to give the owner's information and whoever the owner's agent is. Like sometimes the owner could be an organization or a corporation, and so you want to designate either third party. I think we might change that to calling it the owner's agent, or maybe it's the building manager, but it's going to be the person from the building, from the ownership side who's authorized to act for the building owner. So that's what the Claim My Building form will do, is get you to put that contact information in. And then there's going to be a correct my building or verify my building information form, where you're going to look at what your gross floor area is, what property type you have, couple other things like that. And we would like you to put that form in so that we can verify what we think, what you've got in terms of square footage, et cetera. And then there is the Designate My Energy Professional form. So that is another form that would be filled out by the building owner or their agent who has already been designated in the Claim My Building form. So the energy professional would get designated by the building owner. I've seen, since we're sort of, it's been a bit of a free-for-all where anybody's trying to designate themselves for a building, but that's not how it's supposed to work. We want the building owner to say, hey, yes, we've engaged this person. And they're supposed to already have filled out a Form Q and be pre-approved and all that. And we do check on all that. So until we get it all kind of worked out, the way energy professionals come into this whole thing is through the building owner filling out that Designate My Energy Professional form and putting who their QP is or their QEM, or maybe they need to have an energy auditor, a QEA. I won't go into all the different energy professionals here. There is some crossover in what all of those people can do, but I hope I answered your question, Kevin.
Thanks, Lisa. The next one is from Marty. Why is there no link to the correct form from the checklist? I think you mean on the building profile page. It's not right there, but it's just on the same screen. You'd click new ticket and find the form you need there. Hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, I'll also just quickly add that the checklist itself is also getting additional items added to it on July 1st. So you will see an updated iteration of the checklist coming soon as well. So like Ken mentioned, to access the links themselves, you will need to use that new ticket button.
And if I might say, I think the portal is great. But it is a work in progress, and things will change as we, learn more about what we're doing and get more. What's really great is having all of you here at this meeting and hopefully using the portal and giving us feedback so we can make corrections and make simplifications, revamp some of the forms, et cetera. So it's a work in progress, and we really appreciate your help with that work. So
the next one is from Stacy, who has several residential properties. I'm assuming by that you mean multifamily, and that only 2 of the 13 would be required to comply with BPS, but you're still seeing the other ones when you log in. So I think there the answer would be to fill out a building information correction form and correct that square footage, and then submit that. Anything else to add there, Claire, or anybody from Odo?
I will say that when you do submit these building information corrections, we do want a little bit of verification. So if someone is going to take their building and change the square footage so that it's no longer a covered building, we do want to see some proof of that. It's not like we doubt that, because we know we picked up a lot of data from county property records that may or may not be accurate. But we do want to make sure that it's accurate. So don't be surprised when we ask you for a little bit of proof, which could, be like a building floor plan from your drawings, something like that. If you don't have that, sometimes sometimes it's very obvious that the building is way smaller than we have listed. So we can do a Google image search just like everybody else. But if it's sort of close, don't be surprised if we ask for a little bit of verification proof.
Yeah, nothing to add
Okay.
from my side.
I was just going to add quickly. So for Stacy, your question, even if the buildings are designated as not covered, they won't necessarily be removed from your portal. You'll still see them, but they will be marked as not covered, and so you'll be able to see once that confirmation has been applied.
Thanks, Naomi. The next one is from Mikal. What is the official definition of industrial? Is it based on zoning? Not necessarily. I would refer to our guidance document on exemptions for that category. Again, what we're looking for is something that shows over 50% of the floor area is being used for that, and something like a certificate of occupancy that shows factory F or high hazard H. Anything else there, Lisa?
Yeah, I always have something. So often there are buildings in like a manufacturing zone that are not manufacturing buildings, and they would not be able to get an exemption. So what we need to show, what people need to show is that their square footage of a manufacturing or industrial part of the building, which is going to be either factory group F or high hazard group H. Those designations have to show up on something official for your building. And we would need to know that it's more than 50% of the building. So, yeah.
Next up is Brian. He's got some questions on energy professionals. Josh provided the link to that list that has been pre-screened for qualifications by the state. But he is still confused about how to knowledgeably decide on who to pick. Anything there, Lisa?
Well, that list doesn't just list names, it lists their company, their contact information, and every person who submitted a Form Q submitted a synopsis of what kind of experience they have, which areas of Oregon they would prefer to work in. So, I guess comb through that. And there's 3 separate lists. There's the QEM, there's the QP, there's the QEA people. If you think you've got a very large building and you're pretty sure you're going to need an energy audit, you might want to go straight to the QEA to find a QEA. You don't have to, but you could. And the reason I would say that is because a QEA can also do any other things for your building. A QEA is a qualified energy auditor. And if you know you have a building that falls into the tier 2 category, you only need to have a qualified energy manager. Often that can be somebody on your own staff or even yourself. If you have a tier 1 building, you need someone who's a qualified professional at least, and they need to have building energy experience, building management experience, and a certain type of one of a certain type of certifications. We've got a list there. So there are certifications that everybody has is also listed on our on that list of energy professionals. So there's a lot of information there. It's a lot to wade through, but hopefully that gives you, and then just pick the guy with the same first name as you have. I don't know, pick it however you like. But then, of course, before you put them in as your energy professional, I hope you have called them and engaged them if they're, not someone on your own staff, and, settled terms of how you're paying, what it will cost, et cetera, like that. So, but you can change them at some future date. So if you don't get it right to begin with, we'll take changes as well. So it's not set in stone.
Thanks, Lisa. Claire, I think the next one is probably for you from Deborah. Is it possible to create a dummy account to explore?
Yes, thanks, Ken, and thanks, Deborah, for asking this question. So you will not want to create a dummy account for your building owner portal account. You are going to want to use an email that either you have provided or plan to provide if you are the building owner in association with the property, or if you're not the building owner, you'll want to make sure that the building owner does designate your contact through the Claim My Building form or the Designate Energy Professional form. And this is what's going to enable the properties that are under your ownership or management to populate within that account. And we do want to make sure that all of the folks that are logging in are, associated with a building that is subject to the requirements before you're using the map and navigating within the portal. So you can definitely explore within the portal within your own building owner portal account, but no, you won't want to create a dummy account.
Thanks, Claire. Let's see. Brian asked just to confirm the building size is determined by the conditioned space. Is that correct? Sort of, but I'll let Lisa do the proper definition of that one.
Sorry, I kind of was spacing out, looking at something else. What? Sorry.
Building size is determined by the conditioned space.
Oh, yeah. I saw that question. Thanks for asking a complicated one. Generally we decide the building tier by its gross floor area. Okay, which does not include any parking garage area. And the gross floor area could include conditioned and unconditioned space. It could include any space at all in that building. If you think you have so little conditioned space that it brings you below one of those thresholds, the 20,000 square foot threshold for a lot of the tier 2, or a 35,000 square foot threshold for tier 1 buildings, or other sometimes of types of tier 2 buildings. If you think that you have so little conditioned square footage that you're below that, what you would have to do is file an exemption, because we are tracking the gross floor area of your building. So conditioned floor area is a factor, but it's not something we automatically know about. So if you think you have so little conditioned space, you'll have to submit an exemption form. And of course, proving it to us, saying you don't have conditioned space, or you might have semi-conditioned space, it's a little complicated. So we're certainly happy to help you with that, but it's not a get out of jail free card. You still have to file an exemption.
Thanks, Lisa. Logan is asking what happened to the EUI calculator tool. It did move from our website, our Oregon BPS website, into Beam, and it's in that knowledge base now under guidance documents, tools, and forms. So if you're logged into the system, you can find it there. If you're not in the system and need a link to that, we can get it to you. Actually, we'll put that in the chat.
I believe the links from the knowledge base all point back to the Oregon BPS website.
Actually, it is still up on the regular website.
Yeah. Someone else had a question in here. I saw about how to become a QEM, and you need to submit a Form Q. So hopefully we can throw the Form Q link in here. Unfortunately, our own website got a little bit changed when we switched over to the Beam software, because we're trying to shift resources to the Beam knowledge base. So things moved a little bit. However, if you kept links to any of that stuff, which you probably didn't, but if you did, they should still work. So.
Next up is Jeremy asking, does a FedEx distribution center qualify for an industrial exemption?
Are you going to make me answer that? No, it's a warehouse, and it's not a factory group F, or unless it is a factory group F or high hazard Group H, it would not be an industrial or manufacturing building. We consider it to be a warehouse.
And then Brian asks, how can we identify ourselves as a QEM if we are a tier 2 building?
Yeah, and so I do want to stress that a lot of building managers or owners or someone associated with the building would qualify. And all you need to do is have a couple years, like 2 years of building management experience. It could either be facility managing, or maybe you pay the energy bills, something like that. You know, there's a lot that goes into building management work. But you do need to tell us who you are before we go on our merry way. And the way you do that is by submitting a Form Q. And that you would just check off the QEM section. Other people, if you had a tier 1 building and you also work for the building, you could become a QP and you would be able to do tier 1 work as well. But you would need to also have 3 years of experience and also get one of the certifications that we want people to have. It's a great career path. So if anybody's interested, I hope that this inspires people to try to get some of those certifications. Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. Next one is from Olivia. I am not a building owner, but will need to access a building within the portal. After making an account, what will I need to do to get access to the building?
So I assume that you're associated with the building or you're a building owner agent. The owner might be a corporation or organization. And I think the way we would handle that is that you could claim a building now it has to not have been claimed already, I believe. I think once the building has been claimed, someone else might try to claim it, but we'll flag that and check you thoroughly. But if it hasn't been claimed before, what you could do is claim it yourself, put in the owner information. You might not have an owner name, but might have an owner company. Put all that information in, put your information in as either the building manager or the third party or owner's agent, however we word that. There's room for 3 different contacts: the building owner, a building manager, or some third party owner's agent. So you could just put your stuff in there under a Claim My Building form. Or alternatively, if you do have a building owner and they've already claimed that building, go to them and ask them to put you in as somebody who can be authorized to access building data and submit building data. And there's also the opportunity to become the primary contact for that building, which means like the building owner might not want to be the primary contact. Maybe they want all the, if someone submits a form, they want that to go to the building manager. Um, so, um, so you could make yourself the primary contact as well.
Thanks, Lisa. The next one is related from Hillary. I am a building manager, but my profile shows building owner under member role. Can this be corrected? Claire, do you want to take that one?
Yes, definitely. So thank you, Hillary, for letting us know. I would go ahead and submit a help desk ticket, which I'll drop another link to the general inquiry form into the chat, and we can certainly have that corrected. It might have been previously claimed under the owner or previously through the PIL contact designation. So we'll definitely get that corrected for you. Just please submit a general inquiry form or email us to let us know the associated UBID, and we can switch that out.
Yeah, and I do want to let everybody know, if a lot of the people here have been following our program for a while and they know we had that property inventory list, the PIL, before, and so many of you already submitted a lot of information through the PIL, and then we transferred it over to Beam. It would have been great if we could have started in just one place, but that's not the way it all worked out. So some of those things might just be transfer issues on our data, and if we see it happen to you, it might flag that it happened to other people as well. So, please do speak up if you see little things like that, because obviously they affect you and we may be able to help some other people out before they even know they have a problem. So.
Thanks, Lisa. The next one is from Jeffrey, and I'm not quite tracking the comment, but it says if tier 2, it may be just as easy to show compliance since likely be below EUIT without HVAC costs. Important note there is that tier 2 compliance is really a measure of gathering your energy consumption data 12 months consecutive within 2 years of your compliance date and comparing it to the target. So there's no compliance if you're not meeting that target ahead of time. Hopefully that clarifies that.
Are you talking about Jeremy Strawn's
Jerry,
question?
sorry, Jeffrey McGowan, if I
Okay,
said that
sorry,
wrong.
I'm way behind here.
So Ken, I think he was responding to Brian's comment about unconditioned
Okay.
space.
Okay. Well, I added some extra, maybe unnecessary info, but Brian is on, he's one of the trustees of his church and helps monitor energy usage, does not have formal training. Can he still be a QEM? What do I need to provide to meet that statement? Yeah, I mean, that's got the definition there. Experience at least 2 years of education and or professional experience with commercial building operations. So if he's been doing that for 2 years for his church, is that gonna measure up, Lisa?
I think so. Yeah, sounds good. And you know, there's a lot to energy use, but it isn't rocket science, and it's something that you can definitely learn. So, and we can help teach as well. So if there's stuff you don't get, just reach out to us. We're here. I encourage people to get involved and learn more about energy use and the energy use of their buildings. So I'm very excited that lots of people can become QEMs. So thank you so much for reaching out about that.
And then Jeremy asks, how do you report a self-storage facility with one tier 1 building that's conditioned and several smaller buildings not conditioned, but all are on 1 meter? I think that's for you, Lisa.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is a situation where you have a bunch of buildings. Only one of them is large enough to qualify as tier 1. The others might be tier 2 or maybe too small to be anything, and we would call them not covered. But unfortunately, you're in a situation with just 1 meter for all of these buildings. So there's a couple ways you could handle it. One way is just to submeter the tier 1 building if you could or want to. Another way is to not submeter anything and submit them all just as one group. And I can tell you that that might be beneficial for you because your conditioned building is probably using a lot more energy than these unconditioned smaller buildings that you wouldn't have to report if they weren't all metered together. And it may drop your EUI down so that you meet your target overall for the group. So since they are all metered together, you have to report them as a group. And all these buildings kind of get swept up in the reporting, even if they wouldn't necessarily need to otherwise. But as I said, it might help your particular situation out a bit. So hopefully that gets it.
That is all I am seeing for questions in the chat at this time.
I do see someone with their hand raised. Is that B for Brian? Is that the person with the church question?
I think it is Brian, and maybe Brian already had his questions answered, but let us know,
Could be
Brian, if
another
not.
person.
And I gave you access to unmute yourself, Brian. So if you'd like to come off mute, you can ask your question.
Well, we can certainly hang out here for the remainder of the hour and wait for any other questions. But if you've had yours answered, you're free to go. Oh, here we go. So Roxanne says her building is listed in her inventory now. What would be the next step? And I think I remember Roxanne's buildings.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one unless someone from Odo prefers.
Go.
Oh, she
Okay.
says manufacturing. Yeah, okay.
Sounds good. Awesome. So Roxanne, since it's already listed in your inventory, I am assuming that you have already filled out the Claim My Building form, or the associated owner has instead. So you can go ahead and proceed forward from that step. But I also want to note that at this point, to make sure that you have referenced the Oregon Building Performance Standard Buildings map, and just viewed all of the information associated with your property record so that you can either verify or correct the information on file. And then once you have done that, the other piece will be providing the energy professional contact information via the Designate My Energy Professionals form. I know that was a bit of a mouthful, and there are a lot of additional compliance steps after that in terms of, starting in Portfolio Manager, determining your energy use intensity target, or sorry, the energy professional doing so on your behalf. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and drop in our how to comply step-by-step guidance, which is a knowledge-based category with several articles walking you through exactly what to do step by step. But at this point, assuming you have already submitted the Claim My Building form, or the associated owner has, I would next suggest that you review the map, provide the information correction or verification, and also provide the Designate Energy Professional form.
And I'll just add that you also may have already claimed your building through the PIL system. And so it's possible that you did not fill out the Claim My Building form, but are still able to access your buildings because you went through that process previously on the previous system.
And Roxanne is saying she's that the building is a manufacturing building, so you would submit a Form X, which is the exemption application form, and provide some proof that you are more than 50%. What is it, factory group F or high hazard group H?
Yeah.
For that.
I guess I would say do that first to determine if you're going to be exempted or not before you do the other steps. But if not, then yeah, follow those.
Oh, great. Well, Roxanne is saying that she worked through in the pill and did this, so that's great.
Okay.
Thanks so much for that. She's an early
Lisa,
adopter.
Yeah. Lisa Jeremy is asking how solar impacts the calculations.
Yeah, so the way we determine the energy use intensity of a building, it's based on the net energy use of the building. And if you've been working in energy, the energy arena for a while, you understand that net is the energy you pull from the grid minus the energy that you might supply to the grid. So, so that solar can very much offset the EUI of the building. Um, so it will reduce your EUI, and it should get you closer to meeting target, if not getting you all the way there. I will say that if you don't meet target, you're supposed to take action and have an energy audit and come up with energy efficiency measures that will reduce your energy use. And generally, they're supposed to be cost effective. I don't know that solar is going to come up as an energy efficiency measure. Technically, it's not an energy efficiency measure, it's an energy generation measure. So it probably won't come up, and they tend not to be super cost effective compared to a lot of the other energy efficiency measures you can do. But that's not to say that it would, yeah, but if you have solar or you're thinking of putting solar on your building, we're not going to stop you. That's a great thing. And it can very much help you. So. Good question.
Any other questions for the team here? And of course, if you submit a ticket through the help desk, we are standing by whenever questions come up. Not seeing any more. I think we can go ahead and wrap this up. Got our email there. You've just seen how to work the portal and how to get to us through the help desk tickets. So thank you very much for joining us today.